How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Exactly a month since the IPL began, less than a month since the league stage will come to an end. So every game counts as Lucknow take on Delhi in the fixture where the spotlight will naturally be on both KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, match number 40. When I say that, I feel like, yeah, now the IPL's been on for a while and some people just cruising through their 40s like Nick Knight is back and Puji is still short of 40. No?
Yeah,
still long time.
Thank you for mentioning that.
You were about 15 years away from 40. Aren't you, Matt? Welcome back, Nick. You've had a little time off. You've made a comeback to the IPL. I'm sorry that the Knight Riders didn't give you more of a contest last evening.
Yes, I was disappointed with them. I thought Gujarat were terrific, actually.
Yeah,
and they identified the conditions very, very quickly. One of my big themes is identifying the conditions. They did it brilliantly. They look a very strong side.
I like that you mentioned that because yesterday on the panel when Finchy was here and Matt and Puji, we all thought, yeah, now Gujarat are looking like that one team that's aiming for top 2, let alone top 4. We thought the second team was actually Delhi. However, 3 games after the first 5 wins, 3 games where they've lost 2, and the one that they did win was that bizarre super over against the Rajasthan Royals. How big a game is this for Delhi Capitals, Puji, and why are they not in the same league of the conversation as, say, Gujarat Titans?
Well, it is one of the most important games for them if they want to reach the top 2. But I still feel they are a strong unit, although they don't have enough points to match GT. But I still feel it is one side which has good bowling lineup, and their batters are also very strong. So, and most of their batters are in form, which is a big positive for them. They might have lost some games, but at the same time, it looks like a team which can reach top 2.
One of those batters in form is KL Rahul. Welcome back to Lucknow. I don't know if you write those sorts of things in your very detailed and astute notes. That's the kind of thing that gets me excited, all that drama and emotion. But it's fair to say, Matt, these two teams swapped key players at the auction. And certainly the Delhi Capitals would be the happier at the halfway stage with how that swap was played out?
Yeah, I think that's undeniable. I think KL Rahul has looked excellent so far this season. He's obviously been used in a few different roles. He's opened the batting, he's batted 3 and 4, but has had a couple of match-winning hands in tricky-looking away games as well, at the Cheteshwar and at Chepalk as well. So he's been a real good influence, I think, and seems to have fitted into that setup really well. Can't quite say the same about Rishabh Pant, who's had a real struggle with the bat and has had a couple of captaincy calls, I think, fairly questioned as well, particularly that Chennai game at home, where if they'd won that, then suddenly we're probably having a very different conversation about LSG and they're looking like one of the favourites. But as things stand, they're in that big pack of teams who are chasing the playoffs still.
Let alone that Chennai game. How about the opening game that these two teams played against each other? Nick was at Visakhapatnam for that one, where I wonder how much that game did for a new team, new captain, new management, new everything for the Delhi Capitals, effectively reset. And Ashutosh Sharma getting them over the line in a losing cause, effectively for a large part. Do you sense that played a big part in what has followed for the Delhi Capitals?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they kind of flew out of the blocks after that, didn't they? I mean, I was there, as you say, and you kind of felt the game was drifting one way, then it was drifting back the other way. And then right at the end there, Rishabh missed a stumping. I think that could have cleaned it. I mean, they still wanted a little bit to do with the last wicket down. So you kind of felt at the last minute that the game had gone back the other way. And then for Delhi to clinch it like that, one ran with the confidence and one perhaps hasn't.
Let's just swing to Lucknow. And I'd like to recap everyone's season at this stage because it helps me also. I'm sure a lot of people who sometimes check out of the IPL, not like you watch every ball. You probably watch 4 tournaments at the same time. But LSG went down to Delhi, then beat the Sunrisers very impressively. Lost to the Punjab Kings on the pitch that they're playing the Punjab Kings on today. That was interesting what Zaheer Khan had to say after that. They then strung together 3 wins against MI, KKR, as well as Gujarat Titans. A lot of that has to do with Nicholas Pooran. Then came the Chennai game and of course that bizarre Rajasthan game. A lot of the comments I've been getting on Lucknow are, have they overachieved? Should they be at 5 wins at this stage? Are they looking that good? Or are they a team where Pooran, Marsh, Markram have just carried them for so long? Can they carry them longer though?
Well, you might say the same about Gujarat. We've just been singing the praise of Gujarat. Their top 3 is basically I mean, I know their bowling has been terrific as well, but as far as their batting, it's the top three. So you can say the same about Marsh, you could say the same about Markham, you could say the same about Nicholas Pooran. For me, it's a little bit of what surfaces they're playing on. We're going to find out. But I think they need good surfaces to provide for those three. But they're such good players. They're so dominant. They can win a game on their own. We need to provide for them, don't we?
Yep, I'm not worried about LSG's batting lineup. I would say that their bowling lineup, especially their seamers, that is where they struggle a bit. Going forward, if you want to qualify for the playoffs in an important game, I know Avesh bowled really well in one of the games, but Shardul hasn't. He has bowled well in the power plays, but he hasn't done well towards the end. So they are still trying to find another seamer who can be effective with Avesh.
But that's the point, isn't it, Pooji? If your bowling is a concern, and you're right, it needs to be propped up somehow. So you need your batters to prop it up a little bit, and those top three can do that.
At that point you make on the surfaces, they've not enjoyed a good home record this season, have they?
No. But I think the interesting thing with Lucknow generally is that it has changed quite a lot as a venue in the past few years. If you think when it first came into IPL in 23, I think it was the lowest scoring venue in the league. Since then, I think we're looking at 180 as an average first innings score. It's been a chasing ground as well this year. So slightly different. But yeah, they're, I mean, across the league, there's not many teams who have got great home records this year.
That's the other part, because we thought Lucknow were a team that might create that sort of advantage for them at home. But this year, by and large, people are much rather, happier travelling away. Mumbai maybe is an exception now. They've picked up some momentum at the Wankhede. But they've won 2 and lost 2 at the Ekana. Zair Khan had a lot of things to say about the surface. I don't even know what kind of surface they should suit Lucknow, given the strengths that you all have mentioned.
I think they have to play on a good pitch where there's a little bit of assistance for the spinners, not in this game, but overall they have got 2 quality leggies in their side. But at the same time, looking at their batting lineup, some of their middle order batters may not like to bat on a slower pitch. So if they play on a good surface where it's a high scoring game, I think it will suit them.
All right, let's give you some interesting news. Delhi Capitals have won the toss. How crucial will that be in what's a big game for both teams? And they have put the Super Giants in. So Lucknow will bat first. That strong batting will be called upon. The spotlight will be on Rishabh Pant and his batting form, which we'll come to in a second. But let's confirm some team news. Both teams, it's fair to say, are still having to manage without perhaps what they thought their ideal overseas balance would be. It looks like Faf du Plessis is still not fit. So Abhishek Porel and Karun Nair will likely continue to open, and you've got Dushmanta Chamira for his first game of the campaign. Mohit Sharma misses out. There is only the 3 overseas that have been named though, so this is the bowling first team. They could very well bring in Fraser McGurk again, even though they've left him out. It was very strange that Donovan Ferreira was impacted in as late as the 18th over in that last game. Didn't quite work out against Gujarat Titans, but Chamira in. Let's see, what do we make of that for Mohit Sharma?
I think it's an interesting call. He's one of these players who's now associated with the franchise in multiple leagues. So he's played for the Capitals team in the ILT20 as well, and I think did well there. But he's never quite cracked it as yet in the IPL. I think he's had a couple of different franchises. I think he's played for LSG and KKR as well. But
lots of injuries.
But yeah, when he's at his best, he bowls properly quick.
That's what we've got for Chamira and T20s this year. But what are they trying to achieve here by leaving Mohit out and playing Chamira?
They're going with pace. I think it'll be a good surface, and on a good pitch, Mohit, he's slightly on the slower side. He needs to bowl on a surface which is slightly on the slower side because he relies heavily on his slow deliveries. He doesn't have good pace, so I think on that surface, LSG they have a strong batting lineup, and you need good seamers against them.
Did you like it though? When you have 3 overseas batters in form in the opposition, maybe your thinking is let's go to our most capable overseas fast bowlers. There's already Stark there.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. I think so. I think you want to. It's a balance, isn't it, between trying to cover a couple of bases or just go, no, I'm a specialist bowler. I'm going to try and make an impact that way around, and that's why I'm going to do it. So I'm not against it. Where I'm going to question slightly. I mean, you said there that Delhi Capitals' top order and batting unit is in good form. I'll go with you to a degree because they're contributing. They're making starts, and they all look in good touch. Are they making enough big scores?
Yeah.
Are they making those really substantial scores that are going to win your matches? That's my only question mark.
Yeah,
I think certainly in the top three, I think they're at the bottom. You should know this.
Yeah, I think they're
at the bottom, aren't they?
For opening partnerships, I think they're the
partnerships.
second
So,
worst, yeah.
Whilst they're looking good and it kind of looks like they're going to kick on, that's the next phase for them.
I
But
think
they are, sorry to interrupt, but
please.
they are still trying to find their opening combination, and that's why they've changed their opening combination quite a lot, and that's why the numbers are on the lower side. But if you look at the entire batting lineup, Karun Nair has got a 50, KL has got a 50, so all of their batters have scored runs, so they are not out of form, but it's just that their batting position has changed quite a lot.
I think Nick's point is certainly become more apparent since they've had to manage without either McGurk or because of form and Faf because of injury. They still have scored 200, 180 more often than not. They don't necessarily leave much in the tank. Everyone gets in and gets quick fire 30s. But it seems like in that team now, where they fell short against Gujarat Titans, as good as Josh Butler was, they had the super over against Rajasthan where they got 188. KL Rahul almost seems key to putting it together. Games they won, KL again at RCB, KL at the Chepauk.
Not to forget Akshar's contribution as well as a batter.
Yeah, but if Nick's talking about that one guy who you want, just taking it a level up at this stage of the season to make sure you get 10, 15 above par, is KL perhaps even more important in this team now than previously when you had Faf and when you had Fraser McGurk?
He is, but at the same time, you also have to look at the way he's batting this season. And if you tell him that you have to bat responsibly, everyone should be batting around you, then that's not the right message, because he has changed his game. His strike rate has improved a lot, and which is a big positive. So he has to bat that way for Delhi, and I hope that message is very clear to him.
I'm sure the opposition dugout today will watch that with a lot of admiration, especially the owner's box. KL pumping it at 170 plus as he returns to Lucknow. Chamira, you're right, actually played for Lucknow. I wonder where he'll bowl today though with Stark, and there are some interesting matchups coming up. But first things first, Lucknow are batting and Rishabh Pant is going to be a big talking point. First, let's just tell you that it's pretty much the same team. Markram, Marsh, Pooran, Miller as your four overseas. Millers, they've not given Miller a lot to do. They tend to bring in Badoni earlier as the impact sub that you saw in the last game, which meant Mayank Yadav didn't feature. He is on the bench one more time. I wonder if we'll see him today.
So Delhi won the toss and bowl. So
yes.
They're doing the same thing again then with the impact sub, where they're looking to, it seems like they're going to only sub Badoni in if they lose enough early wickets or something like that, which I never loved that as a use of the impact sub, because I think one of the great things that it's had, and Raidu's spoken a lot about how it freed him up and freed Chennai up a couple of years ago when he was at CSK, is that complete freedom for the top order. Obviously that top three is going to play attacking shots regardless, but I think for Punt it could help quite a lot if you have the extra batter carded behind you, especially someone who's been in good form like Badoni. So I would prefer to see them be naming the extra batter in the 11 and then sub him out at half time.
The key is who that batter is and what his makeup is. If he's a 6-7 and you may not need him at all, then it's no harm, no foul. But they have a guy like Badoni who we saw in the last game. If you impact him, it'll be in the first 9 overs or 10 overs. Which then doesn't, I get Matt's point, it doesn't give you the extra bowler and it doesn't necessarily maximize your batting. Are they still not cracking this?
Yeah, you're right, but I think they are worried about their bowling lineup rather than the batting lineup. They think that their batting lineup is performing well. They are backing their batting lineup to score big, but they need another bowling option, and that's why they are naming this 11.
Any thoughts on that?
Mayank Yadav.
Mayank Yadav.
Get him in.
Yeah.
I mean, when I pick a T20 side, I look at the bowling. I want extreme pace, or as much pace as I can get, and I want mystery spin. That's my 2 starting points. So I'm getting extreme pace in.
Yeah. Who is the dispensable bowler? I want to see that team one more time, because one thing we all agreed on over the last couple of years as we saw the impact sub grow is, ideally, you should bring in your best bowlers regardless in the 11. That's how Punjab also go about it. I think they're one team that used it well. So they'll name Yuzvendra Chahal and Arshdeep in their batting first 11 because you want to play them no matter what. Yeah. Can they put like Prince Yadav on the bench and put Mayank in the 11 so that if you have to sacrifice a bowler, it's not someone who could actually win you the game?
I think not at this stage, because Mayank hasn't played a lot of games, and Prince Yadav, who is very impressive so far in the season, he has bowled really well. He's a young guy who has been bowling good Yorkers, and he has been able to execute those Yorkers really well. We have seen in one of the games against SRH where Even at Hyderabad, he bowled really well. So he's quite talented. At this stage, I won't make that change because you have a informed bowler who is bowling well, and that's why they have named this playing 11, because second innings you can always have someone like Mayank in the as an impact sub.
There's that old football adage, no? If he's fit enough to be on the bench, he's fit enough to start. I don't know.
Got to start at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, there can be a starting point at some. I would have thought. So why not now? But hey ho.
All right, we will see, because Zaid Khan did speak after Badoni was impacted in the last game and said, yeah, we want to ease Mayank in, but you named him on the bench. We all want to see Mayank Yadav. He's a high-priced retention. He lit the IPL on fire with back-to-back Player of the Match awards when he featured. Last season led to a retention, but we're still not going to see him in a starting side. Right, they're batting first. We know what the top three or the three overseas guys can bring to the table. Rishabh Pant, has he brought enough to the table? Matt, take it away.
Well, the short answer is no. The numbers so far this year are pretty ugly. If you look at the lowest averages in the IPL this season for players that have batted as many times as Pant has, you can see it's pretty ugly. He's averaging 15. The next worst is Narayan at 21. And the thing that really stands out to me there is the strike rate, less than a run a ball. He had one innings against Chennai, I think, just over a week ago, 63 or 49, where it looked like he might be getting back to some kind of touch. He wasn't at his fluent best, but at least there were runs. But it didn't happen in the last game. He was out reverse sweeping very cheaply. I think one of the most notable things as well has been his slow scoring against spin. This is not necessarily a new thing as well. He had a pretty good season actually, or a solid season with DC last year, and the spin numbers were nowhere near as good against as against pace. But this year you can see it's particularly poor. You know, striking at 71.
That's not good.
And one of the things that stood out actually, given what we associate with Pant, is that the intent hasn't really been there. In that I think he's attacked 25% of his shots, which is the bottom for players that have faced 100 balls or more. But the interesting thing there has been the tempo, I think, and I think Pudji's got some observations on that.
Yeah, look, the way he approaches his innings is either he's just looking to rotate the strike, and then if that becomes too much, if he has scored 10 out of 10, then the next option for him is to go for a 6 rather than going for a 4.
Sorry,
and we saw,
may I challenge you on that? Does he actually look to rotate the strike also?
Sometimes, not all.
Because I'll tell you why. I'm reading through some of his scores here. 0 of 6, 2 of 6, 3 of 9. Those are the kind of stats that lead to that. Sometimes it just looks like it's either dead bat or boundary and invariably wicket.
But whenever he's looking for a boundary, it's 6, it's not 4. And we have seen yesterday on a slower pitch where spinners are bowling, your first go-to option should be a 4, then a 6. On a slower pitch, I'm saying where there's a little bit of turn. And for Rishabh, it's always high risk. And if that doesn't pay off, then he gets out. And then you, as a batter, you are putting yourself under a lot of pressure. Because if you are not scoring, if you are getting out before 2 digits, then your confidence doesn't go high.
It just seems like oppositions are very easily managing to just keep him on strike, one end, when he comes in. So even if the other guy is hot, he's not getting there. Pant ends up facing 4, 5, 6 dot balls. I can see why Matt used the term ugly quite a few times while describing that, because it actually is looking for, it's not doing justice to his abilities. What can you tell about what kind of space he might be in with the way he's batting?
I think that's it. I think that's it in a nutshell. What kind of space is he in? I mean, we've played the game long enough that we know that when we're in bad form, we probably go and fuss over technique, and we go in the nets, we talk to coaches about how we can get through it. Actually, you need to get your head in the right space where you can let the body and the instincts take over. My best advice, and I wish I'd done this more when I was playing, is watch the ball and let your instincts take over. And if you watch the ball closely enough, your instincts do tend to take you to the right option if you're that good. And he is that good, and this guy was that good. So your instincts, don't forget your instincts to hit the ball. Sometimes you confuse yourself, you overthink it a little bit, you get too much messaging, you get too much information, you get too many thoughts in your head. Should do this, shouldn't do that, why am I not doing that? Listen to too many people sometimes. I don't know if he does that, but Zahir Khan, for me, plays a key role. I think they get on pretty well. I think they talk quite a lot. Sometimes it's more that than the technique and the approach.
Finchi was saying something interesting when we were discussing Rohit that day, that when you're not in form, you're just hoping that the ball comes for that one shot that you want to play, which is he's hoping the ball is just for that leg side shot, leg side shot.
You have two choices, don't you? When you're out of form, you have two choices. In the longer form, it's more simple. You have two choices. One, you grind it out. and you try and get a bit of rhythm at the crease, and you find eventually you kind of feel your way a bit, or you try and slap your way to 20 or 30, feel good, I've got a bit of a score, and then you kick on from there. You can't do that. Can't do that in here. He's really only got one. You can't just grind it out in a T20 game.
I think his thing is invariably he's either trying to hit the spinner there, which he's gotten out, or he's trying the reverse sweep, which he's gotten out.
Yeah, so he's not. I feel he's not having enough options. It's the options which he's looking for is, as you said, it's either over fine leg and between the square leg, or just trying to go for the reverse sweep, rather than just trying to look for options like going over the cover, try and go over mid wicket between long on and deep mid wicket, try and play that sweep shot down the ground between deep square leg and deep mid wicket. So those are the shots which can give you more rewards without taking higher risk.
When you're out of form, do you think the opposite? Do you think the shot over cover is harder to play because I'm not in good form? This is my easier shot. The oppositions are ready for him. I've not seen an opposition not, even in the game where he got runs, people know what to get prepared from Pant, and I think they're all one step ahead of the batter at the
If you look at the fielding position which the opposition is setting for him, they know that these are his scoring areas, and that's where the fielders are. Even when he got out, I mean, he got caught at deep square leg, which was almost like a deep fine leg. So opposition is very well prepared about the way Rishabh is batting at the moment.
Fascinating. Right, let's give him a break here. We've spoken so much about it. Let's talk about someone who can perhaps take some pressure off him. He has all season, but Nicholas Pooran. Our opposition's coming a little better planned even for him. Last 3 innings, we've not seen the madness that we saw in the first 4 or 5. And today, the opposition has a lot of good options against Pooran. Matt?
Yeah, it's interesting this because Pooran scored big runs in the last game, in the game Nick was up in Vizag. But he doesn't have great head-to-heads against 2 of the bowlers in the DC attack. But I think this is actually where Pooran is so clever. So you see there the head-to-heads against Kuldeep and Stark are very much in the bowler's favour. I mean, Stark in particular, 4 dismissals in 6 innings and hardly scored a run off him. But the thing that really stood out in that game was that he absolutely smashed an over of Tristan Stubbs, and he also took down Vipraj. So I think Pooran is in this great space where he's managing bowlers really well and knows that he can really cash in and get those huge overs against the weaker links in the attack and can almost bide his time, take over against the best bowlers. But yeah, there's something to cling to for a Delhi captain there, I think.
Yeah, I think Digvesh almost got him as well. Sorry, Vipraj almost got him as well in that game, dropped by Samir Rizvi, and then the carnage followed. Now that there is Chamira as well in the opposition, how do you sense Stark and Kuldeep should be used to counter what I think still is very much the opposition's biggest threat, Nicholas Pooran?
Just on those stats we put up, there might be a few others that struggle against Kuldeep and Stark, by the way.
True.
I mean, we can be pretty forensic and pick out stuff, but I mean, there's a few that are thinking, hang on, that's not straightforward. And actually, that's why I go with Delhi a lot of the time, because I think those 2 in my world 11. I mean, Mitchell Stark at the top and Kuldeep in the middle, and that's how I'd use them. To answer your question, simple. Go as many as you can with Mitchell Stark. If it's swinging, you might be tempted to go for a little longer. If it's not swinging, you can bring him back out. You use him as an impact. If you've got a stubborn partnership that you want to break, bring Mitchell Stark back in. And Kuldeep, I think sometimes he's used a little bit, perhaps not used as early as I think he should be. Sometimes I'm watching them play and I'm thinking, well, come on, Kuldeep, bring him in, ready to go, and then they hold him back for a little longer. So maybe they could use him slightly differently, but generally in the middle section.
Just to counter on that point, Kuldeep is someone who doesn't like to bowl with the new ball, and you're right that he is capable enough of bowling little earlier, but he's someone who is not confident enough. So he prefers to bowl with slightly older ball. That's where he can grip the ball a little better.
And you can see Akshar adhering to that by bringing in Vipraj ahead of Kuldeep many times to bowl, even inside the power play, whereas Kuldeep comes in.
It's an interesting dynamic, that, isn't it? Because he's not going to want to, but the batters are going to be happy that he's not. I always think of it on 2 fronts. You think of it from the bowler's perspective, you think of it from the batter's perspective. If you're batting there, you're thinking, quite happy if they hold Kuldeep back. And he's quite happy as well.
And the thing is, you will only bowl 2 of Stark at the top. So that period...
Well, you might not.
Would you go more?
Well, again, I go back to the point, if it's swinging and you've got a couple early wickets and you've got Nicholas Pooran and you want to break that and you've got 1 more over, you're thinking, hang on, I might just gamble here with 1 more over. I mean, it's going to have to be very much in his favour, but that's be the one time when you would do it.
I would be surprised that Chamira's in to perhaps give him a little more firepower in the power play. Stark, we've seen if the ball tails, becomes different threat towards the end. And those 5-6 overs is when everyone seems to want to come hard at you. Either Akshar bowls it himself or he brings in Vipraj Nigam for quite a tough job. But it should be a fascinating way. And when we speak of Vipraj and Kuldeep, these are two of the best spin units that are going to be on display. Yes, all the focus on Pant and KL, but you've got Vishnu and Digvesh Rathi on one side, Vipraj Nigam, Kuldeep Yadav, Akshar Patel on the other. So between Lucknow and Delhi, you're looking at 41 wickets to spin and pretty decent economy rates given everything we've seen this season. Kolkata, not bad. They're not scoring as many as well after their spinners have managed to keep them down. Enough of Kolkata. Couldn't believe how they played yesterday.
Well, the spinners didn't get a wicket.
Anyway, yeah. For now, we focus on Lucknow and Delhi, and we try and break down what the tactical play will be in the power play. Maruti Suzuki Arena presents Power Play Conversations. Right, let's go for it. So we've had lots of thinking about Stark, when to bring in Kuldeep, Chamira's inclusion. What's the best way to go about this? Puji?
I think Mukesh Kumar, he holds the key because everyone knows that he is the weak link, and someone like him, if he can bowl well in the power play, if he can get 1 or 2 wickets, then the pressure is on LSG's batting lineup because he is someone who is capable enough. There are times where he hasn't found his right length because he relies heavily on his back of length deliveries, but if he can overthink the batters, if he can mix up with even with the new ball, I feel that he is capable enough of bowling Yorkers and bowling some slower deliveries. So if he can be the key bowler today for Delhi, then things can turn around.
It does look like Stark's power play wickets have dried up of the last couple of games.
Yeah, a little bit from an excellent start. I think the interesting head-to-head there will be against Mitchell Marsh because I think before that first game of the season, the matchup was very much in Stark's favour, but probably showed how these things can sometimes be overplayed because Marsh then whacked his first ball over mid-wicket, as I remember it, with the most risky pickup.
Someone striking at 228 against him. That surely was Mitch Marsh, I think. But anyway.
But I think that's including that first game where he really took him down. So I think it'll be an interesting head-to-head, especially I love seeing national teammates going up against each other in IPL, and I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch tonight.
Excellent. But just the 2 wickets in the last 5 games in the power play for Mitch Stark, economy of 11. I think Nick's given you good homework. You're going to find out who has good records against Stark and Kuldeep.
I know for Stark, Joss Butler, excellent.
And Kuldeep as well?
I think solid enough. I'll check that one.
Go on. Work harder. Come on, Matt. Right, Nick Knight, just your thoughts on, Puji's brought up Mukesh Kumar, we've spoken of Stark. We should probably mention Markram as well, who's held things together, perhaps when Marsh and Pooran haven't fired.
Yeah, I'm not going to say unheralded because that's a bit unfair because he's a terrific player and has been for a number of years. But yeah, you're right, he's done a really good job. I mean, those, including myself, were doubting whether that was the right option at the start, whether Shamar Joseph could. So he's done a really, really good job. I think he's dovetailed nicely with Mitch Marsh. I mean, it's a very daunting prospect bowling to that top 3. Just to pick up quickly what happened as well, I was at the game. Mitch Marsh hit his first ball for 6, as you say, and then there was some byplay with the dressing room. I think it was almost like he told them he was going to hit the first ball for 6. There was something going on because there was a bit of fun between Mitchell Stark and Mitch Marsh as well. Yeah, it was a good moment.
Akshar Patel starting. Quick reaction on that, Puji?
Well, both right-handers, and we haven't seen a lot of Akshar's bowling, so this is a good move.
I think this is the first over he's bowled this season, surely. Yeah, oh, this is very good. All right, very interesting. I think there'll be a lot of tactical play as KL Rahul has already seen helping his captain. Let's get first innings predictions. Matt, Puji and Nick, let me help you with forecaster in just a second. Matt, you could go first.
I'm going to go on the low side. I reckon a good night for Delhi, so I'll go 168.
168. I can tell you forecaster says 181 for what it's worth. You're saying 168. The same surface when Punjab played here. LSG got 171 and Lucknow chased it quite easily. Just
172.
172.
185.
185. All right. Let's see what this game says. You're saying 168, right? I'm backing Delhi today. I think they'll do all right as well. Okay. Thank you very much. Nick Knight, Puji, Matt. More from these fine men at the end of the LSG innings. Keep an eye out for how Pant goes, how Pooran goes, and we'll pick up the chat on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Riggin for timeout at the end of the innings.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.